Eloise, do you want to take down your agenda and then,
Yes.
I think we're recording now. I just noticed, I think it's recording now. I just hit the record.
All right. I took it down, right? So I don't know if everybody's back. Okay, then thank you. We will convene the council meeting. Okay, do we want to pledge the allegiance? I guess we should keep our heads about our stuff by doing it. I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Here.
Lewis?
Here.
Nelson?
Maybe she's on her way.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
Entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
President.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
We will move to reports. Mayor, do you have a report? You're muted, Mayor. Your mouth is moving, but.
I'm
no-
sorry, I had to push my space bar.
Okay, thanks.
No report this evening. I know the directors have extensive reports. We have been tremendously busy, as you indicated earlier yourself, on a lot of things going on. And we did, and Jim will probably mention some of the things we're working with the mall, for one, trying to get the mall in good shape that we can get that to open and have people come in. Jim will give some details on that. So that's completes my report. I'll happy to answer any questions as we go along. I do have participated in a lot of the mayors and managers and the governors on Zooms and many of the meetup meetings and webinars and all that in the last few weeks. So thank you.
Thank you. Chief Newman, do you have a report?
Thank you, Council President Henry, Mayor Roche, and members of council and members of the community. No real report this evening, just that our workforce in the fire department are all healthy and managing the COVID-19 situation. So we have a healthy workforce, and we're managing the calls that come in. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. That's good news. Police Chief Wetzel?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair, before we move on to Chief Wetzel, I did have one for Chief Newman.
Okay.
Chief,
Proceed.
Chief, how are things going at our hospital from your observation? Are things normal operations starting to return there, or what do you think the status of our hospital is?
At this point in time, everything is actually status quo. We haven't had any delayed offloads or any surges related to the COVID-19, but we're monitoring the situation carefully. I know that there is a level of concern as we start to reopen that cases may actually increase due to people not being so mindful of social distancing and wearing masks. But at this point in time, at both of our hospitals, University Hospital, Richmond Medical Center, and Cleveland Clinic Hillcrest Hospital, everything is running well.
Thank you.
I have a little bit of follow-up on that. I do have a weekly online meeting with the Hillcrest Hospital with other mayor or regional mayors, and Hillcrest Hospital is doing well. They are one of the main ones for the COVID-19, and they're handling everything well. They did take down their entrance tent a couple of weeks ago. And they also want to send out to the community, so if anyone's talking with anyone, to not to be afraid to come into the hospital. There has been some reluctance of some people, and the hospital administration and I believe both hospitals are really encouraging people to come in if they have any, and in particular if they have any serious symptoms, because stroke and heart attack and other major symptoms need to be handled right away. So don't hesitate to go to the hospital.
We haven't heard that for a while. They were telling us to stay away. Now we're afraid to go in there.
I think it's to that point. They have found some of their patients have been reluctant to come in because they feel it's not safe. They're trying to assure everybody it is safe. They have isolated any COVID patients separately. Don't be afraid to come in is what I've been hearing the last several weeks from the hospital administrators.
Well, that's good to know. Yes.
And just to build on that, the major change that we've seen in the last week is that the hospitals are now performing outpatient procedures. And when a patient and their family members enter the hospital for those outpatient procedures, they're going to go through a series of about 3 checkpoints where their temperatures are going to be monitored. They're going to find out, what the patient is there for, and they may or may not allow the family member to accompany them to the procedure area. But they are making arrangements with the family as far as, notifying them when the procedure is over and how to recover their loved one. But the biggest change is that they are performing outpatient procedures now, which, until about a week ago, they weren't.
Great, thank you. All right, then. Building Commissioner Jim Urinker, what are you up to?
I just have well, thank you, Madam President, Mayor Roach, members of council and the community. I have just one thing to mention. We did meet with Michael Cohen via a conference call today, and I just kind of have a statement to make. It's kind of up to Michael Cohen regarding the mall. The speed at which Michael Cohen addresses the code violations will directly impact how quickly the mall will reopen. And that's all I have for my report, and I'd be happy to take anyone's questions.
Did Mr. Cohen say anything about he's going to work on cleaning up those violations? Did he give you any?
He sounded promising. We did have contractors on the phone. I did receive a partial application for a permit for roofs. It was incomplete, but it looks promising. But we've been here before. So he's kind of got to prove it to us as to whether or not he's serious about remediating these problems.
A question? Question
Yes.
for Jim?
Yes.
Jim, this is Councilman Untine. Is this just a ploy? I don't think he's. They're talking about buying the mall. The Bella Oaks people are talking about buying the entire property. They're negotiating back and forth. Why would he make any improvements to something that he's going to be selling? He's not going to get his money back out of that. I think it's just another ploy for him to buying time so he could go and renegotiate with the Bella Oaks people. I don't trust the man. I'm sorry. He's been led us down this road too many times, and the mall is absolutely a mess. and it's not open, and it's not going to be open. I don't feel good about this. I really don't.
Well, the mall won't reopen, Frank, until he proves to us, which means he has to complete a significant portion, which is, I would say 75% of the serious code violations before we would allow any of the public in the mall.
Well, stick to your guns, pal.
Yep.
Jim, have you been inside the mall in the last day or couple days?
No, I have not. It's closed. And we have not yet been invited in. So we didn't go there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the report. Finance Director, Jim Technip.
Thanks, Council President Henry. Just as the other directors, I have no formal report this evening other than the items that were discussed in the this evening's committee of the whole meeting. I would be open to any questions.
All right. Thank you. Recreation Director, Rick Dula.
Thank you, Madam President, members of council, the mayor, and the community. Just one quick item tonight. Over the past week or so, I've had several meetings with Service Director Don Krasinski regarding looking into the future. Eventually, this thing will shake out, and hopefully we'll be able to reopen the lodge for rentals somewhere down the road. But so we are looking at the task at hand of cleaning and disinfecting said lodge once we get back to normal operations or half normal operations, and looking at equipment and procedures and such. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve here, and that's all I have for the council tonight. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay.
Madam President, did we pass over the Police Chief Wetzel's report, or did I miss it? Was I sleeping?
I think I did. Didn't I? I passed. I apologize. Thank you for for reminding me. I am so sorry, Chief. You can talk twice as long.
Oh, no.
My one feeling is hurt, Council President.
I apologize. I apologize. Thank you, Councilman.
I do have a report. Council President Henry, Mayor Roach, members of council, and members of the community. Our agency continues to stay healthy during this health crisis. Sergeant Leisure, one of our grant officers, recently applied for a grant regarding reimbursement of PPE supplies. We recently had 2 surveys completed. One was to the entire community regarding our police services, and the other was to the parents of all local school students regarding our outreach efforts, as well as gauging our level of trust with their children. Spoiler alert for both surveys, your public servants are held in high regard. I will be providing a PowerPoint presentation on both surveys at our next safety committee meeting, and I'm confident you will all be pleased with the results. Our K-9 Bolt has been in action with his handler, Officer Ross. They have been working night shift. We look forward to you all meeting them at an open council meeting. And then lastly, and most importantly, this week is Peace Officer Memorial Week, and I encourage you to put a blue ribbon or blue light on your outside of your home to honor police officers throughout the entire country who have given their lives in the line of duty. Thank you.
Thank you. So you said, when do we put this blue light out? When?
This week, if you could, at some point. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I believe it started last Friday, and it runs for a week.
Oh, thank you.
We did put a notice on our electronic board, and we had something in the e-news also.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll get a blue light. So now we'll go down to Economic Development Director, Brian Glaser.
All right. Thank you, Council President Henry, Mayor Roach, members of council, and members of the community. Been working with the building department regarding the mall issues, as Jim alluded to. Also working on Bell Oaks issues, the finance analysis consultants that we'll talk about next week. Also working with Diamond's Men's Store. They are relocating out of the mall to across the street, Wilson Mills, into Hilltop Plaza. So we've been working with the building department about some of the issues that they are dealing with as they look to relocate. And then lastly, we had our first kickoff orientation meeting, if you will, today about the Kiwanis Lodge plans. And so we're having the architect, he'll begin actual planning and design for outdoor patio and deck and interior bathroom renovations, lighting, where we're going to put the emergency generator. And we'll be bringing that once we get to a point where we can actually review the plans. We'll be bringing that to the Service and Recreation Committee. So everybody gets a look and we'll be able to comment and add your thoughts as we go through this planning process for the Kiwanis Lodge. That's my update. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Engineer Lee Courtney.
I'll make it very brief, Madam President, with what all the other directors have said. We're involved in much of that, and it's business as usual.
That's good. Thank you very much. Service Director Don Korniski.
Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to let you know we finished doing all the painting and the lights in the lodge kitchen, and right now we're in discussion with the mayor about redoing the flooring. Our guys would be glad to put in the new flooring, and then the only other additional flooring needed to put in is what's going to go in the hallway once we do the remodel of the bathrooms. But everything's done in the kitchen and looks really nice.
Wow, great. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
comment for Don. Don, earlier this evening, there was talk about litter throughout the community. I want to just second the motion or the thought that I have seen your men out there along the roadsides picking up trash in the morning and doing their part. So it doesn't go unnoticed, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the things that we're going to do tomorrow with the police chief, we've had some residents call up and ask. They've had some rubber gloves and other things on tree lawns that show up. I don't know how they get there, but they were concerned about picking them up and doing something with them. So the chief and I are going to do a video and show the residents what to do with it. And he's going to break me into the Facebook movies. I'm not that kind of person that he wants to.
I just was going to say, I was able to trick Don, to help Don, talk him into helping.
Thank you.
But I'll answer any questions if you have anything.
All right. Thank you very much.
I think one of the things that, we implemented this Monday, yesterday, the waste management is now back to fully picking up the rubbish cans and the bags next to it and things. Just as a reminder, we'll probably put out a little thing, but I know Dawn has had a few problems where, mattresses need to be covered or bagged and that kind of thing still. And so I think that's one of the other items that we've had a number of people not doing correctly. But we're back to full service. I also got an email, and we'll put that out. You'll see it this week from the Simple Recycling. I guess they did shut down for a little while. They want to come back and service Richmond Heights. Simple Recycling, as you remember, is the green or orange bags for people who want to donate recyclable items as whatever, clothes, shoes, small appliances, tools, and that kind of thing. So they'll be out and around picking those things up on our rubbish day.
Great. Thank you. That's good news. All right. So then we will move to old business.
Oh, Madam President?
Yes.
Can I ask a question of Recreation Director Rick?
Yes.
We had mentioned at some of the past meetings the status of the pools in our area and the possibility of our residents going to swim there. Anything further on that, Rick? I know you gave an update via email not too long ago, but anything new there?
Nothing new to report. Euclid is still interested, depending on the status from the governor, which I guess this afternoon he did say he's going to make an announcement this coming Thursday about camps and pools as part of his COVID-19 response plan. I have not heard back from, Mayor Ward did say that they would consider it. I have not heard anything from the South Euclid and Highland Heights. I have not heard back from them. The rec director was going to check with the mayor. So I can try to follow up before the end of this week and see what the status is. But at first blush, Euclid was definitely willing, to negotiate some sort of an arrangement with us if the pools indeed are, open. And, they don't know their status yet. So that's where we are currently, Councilman Ursu.
Thank you, Rick. Do you have any sense about what the governor is thinking beyond just that he's going to be making some kind of statement? Is there any discussion between rec directors about what might be coming down the pike?
We've had some Zoom meetings as well, the local East Side people, and everybody's just kind of shaking their heads and just waiting to see what the governor has. It's going to be an interesting announcement from where we're sitting, because we're trying to figure out socially distance, pools. Where you alternate? This street goes on Mondays, this side of town goes on Tuesdays. What happens if it rains every Monday? Do I get my money back, or is it free? There's a whole bunch of potential, scenarios. But no, to be honest with you, the rec directors were just kind of anxiously waiting to see, what they've, what they're going to suggest or, come up with.
Sure. Because once the weather really starts to get hot, people are going to want to recreate outside, and I think they're just going to. I think in a lot of cases they're just going to want to do their own thing, and I don't know how you regulate that beyond. I don't know how you'd regulate people doing their own thing. So I guess we just have to wait and see and cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yep, we'll be looking forward to the 2:00 conference on Thursday.
Rick, do you think it's safe? You think it's safe to encourage our residents to go in other cities' pools? That's why we closed ours, because of this pandemic.
Does the recreation director think it's safe for other people to swim? Our people to swim in other cities' pools?
To encourage people to go.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to encourage them. I think we will, if we have the opportunity to offer them options that then they can evaluate the merits of and, determine if it's something that they and their family, will, utilize. I guess first blush, that's where I'm coming from. I'm not sure I'm going to make a recommendation. I can make some options available to them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess the good part is I guess the virus doesn't survive in the water or the chlorinated water. The other challenge is trying to social isolate to some degree. Is still the virus is still out there. You can so it's the thing that we've been talking about the last several months. Pool in recreation, exercising, and those kinds of things have some different challenges than out shopping, I guess, and those things.
Well, my comment is that it's really ironic that we're willing to pull the people together at the pool, but we don't want the constituents and council gathering in a city hall. So they're going to be gathering someplace. So it's almost like no, it ain't almost. It's very contradictory. So that's just my comment on that philosophy of giving them an option. So, any more comments on that subject? Then we will move on to our own business.
Madam President,
Yes.
if I may, we had discussed, and it was in your ordinance that was passed in March, to have audience participation or citizen statements made during what traditionally was the audience participation piece of this, and would this be the appropriate time to do that?
It is. Thank you. I guess I'm not seeing it, but yeah, but I would like that. And I'm sure the audience would too. Okay, so we will have this session open to the audience. Audience, are there any comments?
No, that's not what you had passed. What it is the clerk would read any statements that she received.
Oh, at this point.
And she did let me know that there were statements that were submitted for reading.
So we're going to do that before we go into our old business?
Well, that's up to you. You control your agenda.
Well, I'd rather just get through my old business, because once I get through that other stuff, I'll be like skating home, skating to do everything. So
okay,
let's do my old business, my new business, and we'll leave it to the end. We can read all that juicy stuff then, please. So let's go with our old business.
Just a minute. Just point of order. By doing it in that order, if anybody is commenting about any legislation or any activities that we're discussing here tonight, it's going to be mute. It's going to be after the fact.
Let me see.
I do think that was the purpose, was that citizens could review the agenda, see what the legislation was, and comment on it before council took action.
Well, fine. I'm not hard to get along with, believe it or not. Okay. I guess when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, where did it used to fit? But I don't.
Well, it was usually right after directors' reports was the audience.
Oh, okay.
So it has not been on the agenda, but probably should going forward.
Right. That'll be helpful. Okay, then. So then, therefore, before we do that, we start out with the comments, is what your point is, right? All right. So the clerk, will you please read the comments?
Sure. I actually received four letters with comments, and they all are regarding the mayoral veto for Resolution 26/2020. The first one is from Don O'Toole, and it's I felt compelled to comment on the legislation that passed last Tuesday, Resolution 26/2020 in Richmond Heights. I come to the table with 24 years of experience as a councilman at large in Richmond Heights from '93 to 2017. I also chaired the Finance Committee of Council for the last 8 years of my term and helped guide the city through some tough times. I believe my experience can shed some light on the situation. The city was forced to update its tax abatement position in order to attract new businesses and keep some of the ones that we have. 15-year, 100% property tax abatement is the current availability for new construction or new improvements to existing buildings in Richmond Heights. If we grant tax abatement to attract viable growing businesses, the school does not get their share of 65% of the total abated property tax it would have received, but only for the new construction. 65% of the total property tax goes to the school. The Selman insurance issue involves the school not getting roughly $45,000 in tax revenue per year, or approximately $675,000 over the next 15 years. The city will lose $11,000 a year in property tax revenue in parentheses, 165,000 over 15 years, but gain approximately 180,000 a year in income tax, or 2,700,000 over the next 15 years. The city lost more than $2,700,000 in income tax revenue from associate estates, a previous building owner, when they left the city. The school is entitled by state statute to negotiate with the city to claim some of the income tax in order to recoup their lost opportunity for $675,000 in property taxes. The city decided early that its negotiating position was to restore 100% of what the school would have received and not try to negotiate for a lesser amount. To be fair, the city's position was to make the school whole and replace the 100% of the amount abated. This is the definition of whole. The state of Ohio has mandated that cities have to make a school district whole or negotiate a fair settlement. On April 8th, 2019, the city made their position known to the school in a joint meeting of the school and city officials that included the mayor and superintendent. The state statute also says that an attempt shall be made to negotiate an agreement between the city and the school for all or a portion of the real estate taxes to the school will not, some of the real estate taxes the school will not receive as a result of the tax abatement. If an agreement is not reached to reimburse the school, it then gets 50% of the payroll tax revenue, or $1,350,000. My opinion was that this was a safeguard inserted by the state legislators to ensure that cities do not leave schools high and dry in their attempt to attract new businesses. The school does not have a valid claim on an additional $675,000. The city fulfilled its obligation of offering to make the school district whole in a timely manner. The school district seems to think that just because they did not formally accept the city's offer of making them whole as provided in the state statute and waiting beyond 6 months to take the default position, according to the superintendent, they are entitled to 50% of the income tax. I am not a lawyer, but as a former councilman charged with making finances balance in the city, the school's position is not correct and is an attempt to get a windfall at the city's expense. The school is entitled to $675,000, and I support the mayor's position of vetoing the legislation. In addition, I think that the superintendent stepped over the line when she accused both councilmen of being anti-children. I know each of the councilmen and have 100% confidence that each of them has the best interest of not only the children, but the best interests of the 5,000 taxpayers that they represent. She does not know either of them, and if she spent any time researching their commitment to the kids through boosters, Kiwanis, coaching, and refereeing, Dr. Willis would regret what she said. My final comment is that the Selman insurance tax abatement issue is a precedent-setting decision that may affect other tax abated projects that might happen in Richmond Heights. The Bell Oaks project that is currently being worked on at the site of Richmond Town Square is the real prize that the school has its eyes on. If the school board and superintendent are not careful, they might jeopardize that project that would provide a major renovation to the dilapidated mall that currently sits as an eyesore to the city. In conclusion, the city's revenue stream is not guaranteed, and the council must protect the funding necessary to provide police, fire, and city services to the 11,000 people who live in our city. I personally supported the school bond issue that helped to fund the new school, and I think that we have provided the school board with some $20 million from the city. A few years back, the city passed a revision to the income tax credit that raised over $1 million in tax revenue for the city. I believe that there is no taste among the people to go out for any kind of income enhancement for several years. We must live and manage with what we currently have, particularly now when income tax revenues have drastically declined due to COVID-19. My suggestion is for the school board and superintendent to accept the 100% whole offer by the city of $675,000 and move on. You will save the legal fees that you are racking up by hiring the firm of Bricker and Eckler. And this is from Donald O'Toole at 4895 Foxwind Trail. The second letter that I have is from Renee Willis, who is the superintendent of the school. Dr. Renee Willis, and she just emailed me today. The school district's stance regarding the veto of Resolution 26/2020 is one rooted in law, fairness, transparency, and fidelity. The law being referenced here is Ohio Revised Code 5709.82. Just as a reminder, we all know that schools are primarily funded by property taxes and city governments are primarily funded by income taxes. Therefore, whenever a city government exempts or abates property taxes in an effort to attract new development to the city, the law says that they, the city, must first notify the school district of its intent to exempt the property taxes, and then they, the city, must negotiate with the school district relative to the property taxes that will be foregone. The law further states that if the city and the Board of Education fail to negotiate an agreement that is mutually acceptable within 6 months, then the city shall compensate the school district in the following manner. Annually, the city shall pay the school district an amount equal to 50% of the difference between the amount of taxes levied and collected by the city on the incomes of new employees where the tax abatement occurred. So here is the recap of how Selman CRA situation evolved as it pertains to the schools. On March 26, 2019, the school district received notification of the city's intent to abate the property taxes of Selman and Company for 15 years. On April 8, 2019, the mayor and the city's economic developer, Brian Gleiser, met with the school superintendent and treasurer, along with each party's legal counsel. The city's regular attorney, Todd Hunt, was not there, but rather another representative from his firm. There was no offer made at that meeting by the city, but rather it was the beginning of negotiations. A fruitful discussion was had about various scenarios as to how the city could compensate the schools for the property taxes that were going to be lost. The one scenario that seemed to garner enthusiasm from both sides was the idea of having the city purchase the 2 side-by-side houses on Richmond Road that blocked visibility to the newly constructed upper school, which at that time were both for sale. It appeared to be a perfect scenario in that, number one, the 2 houses were for sale that sat side by side directly in front of the new facility. Number 2, the cost was approximately $400,000 for both houses, which was substantially less than whatever the concept of making whole could have been. Number 3, this deal would have met an immediate need that the district could not afford at that time. It is what could have been seen as a win-win in the sense of negotiations. That meeting on April 8th ended with the city stating that they would go back and check into the details of this scenario and get a formal proposal of some kind to the schools by May 1st, 2019. The May 1st came and went, as did June 1st, July 1st, August 1st, September 1st, and October 1st, without any communication whatsoever from the city, despite the school district's inquiries about what happened to the proposal. What happened to negotiations? Did you buy the houses? Hello, will anyone even talk to us? Approximately 3 days before the 6-month deadline to negotiate had ended, the city emailed a proposed agreement to the district's attorney, simply stating that they would make us whole based on the city's calculation in reasonable detail. Remember, it's the county auditor that determines property taxes, not the city. Needless to say, the 3 or so days came and went. What happened? Why the 6 months of silence? Was it blatant disregard, or did someone forget we were supposed to be negotiating? Whatever it was, it has been consistent for the 6 years that I have been superintendent. It is my sincere desire for the city and its school district to work as true partners in their civic responsibility for the public that they both serve. The Selman situation is not about a windfall. It's not about a money grab. It's not even about having a cake and a party. It's about what's right. It's about honesty, transparency, and most importantly, integrity as public servants that just happen to serve the same constituents. Yes, my students are your residents. That is often the lost narrative. It's about the students, our students, your residents. We can no longer pretend. If you are serious about making the school district whole, then be serious about making the school district whole and not pick and choose which CRA you'll make us whole on. Everyone knows that Bell Oaks lies ahead, and a CRA has been requested of that development too. Will you be committed to making us whole with that CRA? What about the merit brass CRA that was approved in December of 2014? The school district wasn't even notified about that CRA, let alone made whole why that company received its 5 years of tax abatements. And to this day, we have not received the documentation requested of that CRA through a legal public records request. Silence is not golden in matters like this, but it seems to have been the status quo for too long in the city's relationship with the school district. It might be worth taking a lesson from some of our neighboring cities who deal with their schools in earnest, transparent, and integral ways. There are cities, believe it or not, that will let new developers know up front that you are welcomed to our city, but together we, the city, and you, the developer, must work out a deal that is supportive of the schools if you want a tax abatement. By the way, that is also in Ohio Revised Code 5709.82. New development has skin in the game also. Finally, I implore each council member to think seriously about what is at stake here. It is more than just the Selman CRA. It is about moving the city and its school district forward. The community spoke in 2017 and passed a referendum to build a new 21st century community learning center. And the city council spoke on April 28th by passing legislation to enter into an agreement of income tax sharing with the school district as required by Ohio law. It's hard to believe people say they are enthusiastic supporters of the schools, yet they did not support the 2017 school levy, and nor do they agree with Resolution 26/2020. I sometimes wonder aloud who the unnamed invisible taxpayers are who support the education of children in the Richmond Heights public schools. They are not victimized by myopic vision, lack of generosity, or parochial interests. They support the school for one simple reason: it was and still is the right thing to do. Please, ma'am, please, sir, vote for what is right tonight. Thank you. And this is from Dr. Renee Willis. My third letter is from Patricia Ackerman, who is also she's a resident and president of the Concerned Taxpayers of Richmond Heights. Now that Mayor David Roach has made good on his announced intention to veto the income tax sharing resolution regarding the Richmond Heights local schools, we are saddened and disappointed. First and foremost, the mayor's action is divisive. Second, it is short-sighted. Third, it is an example of leadership that raises serious questions about the future. As taxpayers, our tax dollars support both the city and the schools. Elected officials are the stewards to whom we entrust decision-making on our behalf regarding tax revenues. We do not have the luxury of choosing between the city and the schools. For us, tax support is a both and proposition, not an either or debate. Consequently, when city leadership portrays school district leadership as not entitled to equitable income tax sharing in the Selman matter, it gives us pause. What are we supposed to do or think? What should we believe? Must Richmond Heights residents choose sides? Truth be told, we are left in a quandary, wondering why state law was explicit in setting forth a process by which such matters might be resolved amicably. So we are confused by the allegations and accusations upon which the mayor's veto is based. The veto suggests that either the school district went rogue or the pertinence law is ambiguous, one or the other. For us, reading is fundamental. We also understand that cherry-picking events to craft a particular point of view is what argumentation is all about. However, it is also transparent. Second, any contention that the fiscal future of Richmond Heights is in jeopardy should the Selman matter be approved suggests that the school district should be content to receive income tax funding for the next 15 years based on the current year, 2020. It is impossible to imagine that anyone thinks the school should survive that way when the city has no intention of doing so. The take it or leave it offer and the making the schools whole contention would, in fact, put the schools in a hole for the foreseeable future. Is that the intent of the city? Are underfunded Richmond Heights schools a goal? Clearly, the Bell Oaks project looms in the background of the Selman matter. Unless we're mistaken, Bell Oaks Phase 1 is envisioned as a residential community boasting 800+ luxury apartments. Isn't it logical that families with school-aged children will be attracted to a city with new 21st century school facility? If so, shouldn't the Richmond Heights schools be supported by all appropriate funding sources? Should we not be concerned that additional school facilities might be needed, or is Bell Oaks being planned as a senior citizens community where children only visit but do not reside? Is that a secret possibility that has not been shared with city residents as yet? Lastly, the quality of stewardship demonstrated by our elected leaders is at issue here. We entrust our leaders to act with our best interests at heart. We expect them to fulfill their oaths of office and obey all federal, state, and local laws impacting our city. That is why we cannot imagine a city whose leadership does not want the city's schools to be as successful as possible. We cannot imagine a city whose leadership argues proudly and defiantly against the provision of optimal educational opportunity for its schools. Such a widely articulated position by a duly elected leader should give pause to the future companies considering Richmond Heights as their future home. Surely the Selman company did not desire to have its name attached to any controversy and regret any collateral damage that may accrue to them. Nevertheless, it appears that acrimony is alive and well in this 103rd year in our city, and its chief proponent is none other than our mayor. If the residents of Richmond Heights think division is the way to a bright future for our city, we already have that kind of leadership in place. If, for whatever reasons, divisive leadership is not our preference, it is up to all of us to give serious consideration to the kind of leadership we believe is more appropriate for our future. And that was Patricia Ackerman. The fourth letter, it's a short one, it's from Jeremy Cuman, who was previously on council, also at 4920 Foxlair Trail. I wish to express my support for Resolution 26/2020 for the sharing of tax revenue with the Richmond Heights local school district. I am of the feeling is that it is more than time for the city and the schools to be partners for the betterment of all in the city, and that as one goes, so goes the other. The idea of sharing the benefit of an expanding city economy makes more than makes sense. It is a necessity for the city to prosper. This is not a draining of the city's coffers as much as it is sharing of an additional income generated through tax incentives designed to bring business and growth to the city of Richmond Heights. I implore council to step forward and send the message that the city is actively invested in the well-being of the schools. Sincerely, Jeremy Cuman.
That's
okay.
it. I believe you got one more letter, didn't you?
But from
Nelson Barman.
Let me just check my email. I had checked between meetings here. Do you?
I have it. If you want me to read it.
Oh, sure. Why don't you just start? Why don't you read it, because I did not see that, and I looked right before the meeting. So,
you okay with this? Eloise.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted. Please go ahead, read it, please.
As a longtime resident, 48 years of the city of Richmond Heights, we have been involved in the city and the schools in many capacities. Nelson was a builder who helped develop the city. While we are strongly in favor of tax abatement as an inducement to grow the city, we think it sets dangerous precedents to allow the school board to dictate policy where there is a legitimate question about how the money is to be shared. Given that this tax money will not be available in the immediate future, we see no reason to rush to judgment. It is our understanding that the parties are entitled by state law to negotiate what amount is appropriate to share. This process I lost my place. Hold on. Negotiate the amount appropriate to share. This process was started but never finished. In addition, the residents of the city have the right to voice an opinion in this matter. For whatever reason, this opportunity has not been given. We are also concerned that because of the coronavirus situation, the city's income has been greatly diminished. We are certain that residents would not welcome either a lessening of city services or a tax increase to cover the cost of city services. We are in total agreement with a highly respected former councilman at large, Donald Toole, recent op-ed, and we suggest that the school board agree to a $675,000 settlement. Finally, we believe it is time for the school board to realize that the great majority of Richmond Heights residents homeowners are quite concerned about the school's academic performance over at least the last 20 to 25 years. It is time for the board to be made accountable for their poor performance. A new building, a great choir, etc., mean nothing if children are not well educated, and they have done a great disservice to our young people and the homeowners whose property values have been seriously hurt because of the school's poor state ratings. Toby and Nelson Barman.
Okay, thank you guys all for those responses. Mr. Hunt, are you there? Oh, yeah. So,
Yes.
it's okay for me to proceed with my agenda?
Oh, sure.
Thank you, in case I got lost in it all. Okay, so thank you. We'll move on to old business. As I said before, thank you all for all the responses. Old business?
Under old business, we have Resolution 41, 2020, introduced by Henry, third reading. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for financial and development consulting services for the proposed Bell Oaks development project with Gateway Consultants Group and Diperna Advisors.
Okay, we're going to hold this because there's some more revisions that has to be made, and we're going to discuss this in our next upcoming finance meeting. So thank you. We'll move to the next piece.
Ordinance 45, 2020, introduced by Lentine, second reading. An ordinance amending section 549.06, failure of the codified ordinances to add provisions for securing firearms or other deadly weapons and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lentine, do you have comments?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. It has been through the Safety Committee of Council. We have decided that there was a need to upgrade our ordinance about gun safety, and better said, I believe Chief Wetzel could comment on this. I support this wholeheartedly, and so does the Safety Committee of Council. Chief, could you say a few words, please?
Thank you, Councilman Lentine. We feel this is an appropriate ordinance. We have had in the recent year and a half numerous thefts of weapons, handguns, and at least 4 of them, I believe, are this is a concern. This gives us an opportunity to address this problem, and it will be combined with an educational campaign on just general weapon safety that we have planned.
Thank you. I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to recommend the council.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Are we ahead of ourselves? Don't we have to suspend the readings and then go to the vote?
That's correct.
Yep.
Let's back up here a minute. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the council to pass Resolution 45-2020
Frank,
on its
suspend
second
the
reading.
rules.
We're going to suspend.
Suspend the rules. Yes, yes.
You can tell we're getting tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second Frank's motion to suspend the rules.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Is she on there? Yep.
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
This is just pass.
Move for passage.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sheesh. Ordinance 45-2020 passes is it 45?
Yes.
Okay, 45-2020 passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, ordinance 46-2020, introduced by Nelson. Second reading, as revised, 5/12/20. An ordinance new section 521.12, disinfectant measures required for establishments with walk-in customers of the codified ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Nelson, do you want to comment? We're going to hold it, but would you like to comment?
Yes, I would like to comment, and we're going to hold it. I was just giving that the governor on March 9th, he signed an agreement to put some for public safety. And I had some questions myself because the last time we reviewed it, it was stated that we had some laws already in place, but I found out when we're in Council of the Whole that we don't have any, so I won't even bring that one up. So we don't have a law. So I want to move forward and get additional information. I'm waiting for information to come back from other neighboring cities on what they plan to do as well. And also there was an article which I failed to mention, there was an article in last week's Plain Dealer Friday magazine that mentioned about this ordinance, but we're in early stage. And I just want to remind us that the objective to this ordinance is just to be cost effective and put a safeguard in place to make sure that our businesses in the city can operate effectively while keeping our customers and residents safe. And that's it. So I just want to put it on hold until we get more information from the governor.
Thank you. So it'll be held for the first reading. Or is it second reading?
Second reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under new business, we have resolution 47-2020, introduced by Mayor Roach, first reading. A resolution ratifying and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Collins Equipment Corporation to perform emergency repairs to the city's vehicle fueling station.
Mayor, you'd like to comment?
Yes, we had a description of what happened by the director earlier this evening. I would recommend passage this evening.
Yeah, okay.
So move. For suspension?
Second the motion.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nelson? Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
Move for passage.
Second the motion.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
Oh, good gracious, I need to just try to stay on track here. Resolution 50-2020, no, Resolution 51-2020. Oh, what number am I on? Am I on 49?
47. 47.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay. Resolution 47-2020 passes unanimously. Thank you.
Resolution 48-2020, introduced by Mayor Roach, first reading. A resolution accepting a grant from the National Association of Chiefs of Police, the city's Police K-9 Unit Fund, and expressing appreciation to those responsible therefore. And actually, that would be introduced then, I think, by Mayor Roach and all members of council. I believe that's what. Yeah.
Okay, Betsy, I heard so much other stuff in the background. I did not catch everything you said.
Okay, I think Lentine and I believe Ursu also had requested that I change that to introduced by Mayor Roach and all members of council.
Okay, thank you. So now I take it then you're waiting on a motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Move to suspend.
Second.
Alexander?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
Move for passage.
Second.
Alexander,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lentine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Ursu.
Yes.
Resolution 48, 2020 passes unanimously.
Ordinance 49, 2020, introduced by Ursu, first reading. An ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Richmond Heights, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, to amend ordinance number 21, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ursu, you like to
Yes.
comment?
Yes, Madam President, we decided that out of 49 and 50, 2020, that we would move this evening on 49, 2020. It has to do with additional materials that the fire department can use in this era of the COVID-19 virus. And if our finance director would like to comment further, that would be great, or Chief Newman as well.
I thank you, Councilman Ursu. Not sure if Mr. Technic wants to, but I can comment. The increase in the Fund 233 will be used to purchase PPE supplies for city employees, which are now needed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The increase is offset by funds received from the CARES Act Provider Relief Fund. The city received $10,320.05 on April 17. And those funds were deposited into the 233 ambulance billing fund, is where the appropriation will be made from. So it'll help get us through the rest of the COVID-19 pandemic and provide proper PPE for all city employees.
Thank you, Chief. I'll entertain motion for suspension of the rules.
Second.
Alexander,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lentine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Ursu.
Yes, Madam Clerk, I think we needed a first motion. We got a second, so I'll make the first motion. I said, let's entertain a motion, and we went straight to the second motion. I believe that's correct.
Yep.
What do you?
So in other words, I said, let's entertain a motion to suspend the rules. And then I believe the Madam Councilwoman said, I'll second the motion. But a first motion was never made, so I will make the first motion then.
Okay.
We skipped.
You guys are killing me. You guys are killing. Okay. Alexander,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lentine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Ursu.
Yes.
Move for passage.
Second the
second.
motion.
Alexander,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lentine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Ursu.
Yes.
Ordinance 49, 2020 passes unanimously.
Hey, Resolution 50, 2020, introduced by Ursu, first reading. A resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to perform certain interfund transfers and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Madam President, this is the item that we decided to hold for further discussion in Finance
Yes.
Committee.
Yes, thank you.
Resolution 51, 2020, introduced by Thomas, first reading. Introduced by Mayor and all of the members of council, first reading. A resolution of congratulations, commendation, and best wishes to the 2020 graduates of Richmond Heights High School.
Thomas, do you like to comment since you introduced it?
Oh, absolutely. So Resolution 51, 2020 is in support of our 2020 graduates. Due to COVID-19, the students aren't able to complete, they had to complete their schooling online. And they lost the opportunity to celebrate that traditional graduation experience. So this is just another way to show our appreciation for the class of 2020.
Madam President,
Yes.
seeing that this is as important as anything that we do here tonight, can we please have the, I know the meeting's been long, but can we please have the resolution read in its entirety?
Yes, we may. I'm sure the clerk has more gas to do it with. Can you read one more?
Hold on, let me see if I could find that.
Yeah. Another feeling there.
Let me just pull this up. My computer's kind of slow when I have Zoom going.
Mm-hmm. I'm tired. Oh, here it is.
I could do it as a guest reader.
Or else I can read it. Madam Clerk, do you have it? Otherwise, I will read it.
It's coming up, but it's just like taking a little while.
Okay, I'm real.
You want to start?
I'll start it. Resolution 51, 2020. Oh, you know what? Kim, do you have it? This is your resolution. Do you want to read it?
Yes, I can read it.
You can read it. It's yours.
Oh, okay. Resolution number 51, 2020, introduced by Councilwoman Kim Thomas. A resolution of graduate best wishes to 2020 graduates for Richmond Heights School. Whereas, sorry, my computer is going in and out. I'm on 1%. Whereas the seniors of the class of Richmond Heights High School will be graduating this school year during unprecedented times in the school history due to COVID-19, the worldwide pandemic and state of Ohio stay-at-home order. In response to the serious health threats of Ohio and the world, in which results, and my computer is going in and out, and in which results in all schools in Ohio being closed since mid-March for the remainder of 2019-2020 school year, and requires students to complete courses and isolated online at home. Whereas due to COVID-19 pandemic and to comply with state of Ohio, the 2020 graduates class will not experience the graduation ceremony that these graduates have waited their whole life and once in a lifetime social events traditionally involved with high school graduation. Whereas in the face of this unprecedented pandemic, sorry, computer went out again. In our lifetime, this council and Mayor Roach wish to not only congratulate the 2020 graduates class, but also to commend them for their perseverance through this difficult time, expressing their trust that this experience will help to prepare the students excel in a world where all persons need to work together for a common goal of the better world. Whereas it is resolved by the Mayor of the City of Richmond Heights, the State of Ohio, Section 1, the Council of Richmond Heights, and Mayor Roach do hereby to congratulate and highly commend the 2020 Richmond Heights High School graduating class, wishing them all success the world has to offer and their future.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has been read. Resolution 51, 2020. So we need a motion for suspension, right?
Yes.
All right.
Move for suspension.
Second.
Motion.
Alexander,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lentine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes, yes.
Ursu.
Yes.
Move for passage.
Second.
Alexander,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Lentine,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Ursu.
Yes.
Resolution 51, 2020 passes unanimously. Thank you. There's no more legislation to go before the council, is it? Now, I think all we have, shall I ask the clerk, is there anything else to go before council that I don't know of?
No, the next thing is the consideration of the mayor's veto and objections to resolution 26, 2020. Did you all get his memo on that?
I'm sure we did. So, I mean, everybody should have received it because I saw everyone's name on it.
So I don't know if you wanted me to read that or.
No, nope, we're not reading it.
I would respectfully request it be read.
You want it read? Okay. Mr. Hunt thought he had just said we did not have to because all of us had received it. So, but if you respectfully requested, then.
Well, there's 34 people on this.
Okay,
Zoom.
no problem. Let's read. Clerk, you have more gas to read one more document?
Okay, this is from the mayor regarding the mayoral veto of council resolution 26, 2020, and objections to the resolution. Pursuant to this memorandum and charter section V- I hereby notify that I have vetoed resolution 26, 2020, passed by council on April 28th, 2020.
May I interrupt? Somebody needs to mute
Yeah.
there because there's all kinds of background noise I cannot hear.
I'm going to mute all except for the Betsy.
Thank you. My objections to the resolution are as follows.
Just a second, Betsy.
Oh, okay. Are we good? So my objections to the resolution are as follows. Resolution 26, 2020 directs me to enter into a one-sided agreement with the Richmond Heights Local School District that has a long-term 15 years detrimental and negative impact on the city government. Transferring money from the city's general fund to the school district with effectively no restrictions or chance for future negotiations or legal interpretations is unacceptable to me. The impact on the city is estimated to be in excess of $700,000 over a 15-year time period. I should not have to remind you of the dire financial straits the city is beginning to face in income tax collections due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the closure of a 50-plus employee business at the airport, and a request by the company and the city for a 3-year tax refund due to the downturn in business. The conservative estimated loss of tax revenues to the city in 2020 is $140,000 for these two items. It is one thing to be an enthusiastic supporter of the schools, which I have been for a long time. However, it is another matter altogether to transfer funds from the city to the schools over a 15-year term and far in excess of what the school district would have received in real estate taxes had a tax abatement not been available to the new company moving into the city. As mayor, I have a fiduciary obligation to the city and its taxpayers to make wise use of the city income taxes and to provide necessary services to its citizens and those non-residents working in Richmond Heights. Taxation without representation is also unacceptable to me. Income taxes that I and all other citizens, businesses, and employees working in the city pay to the city should be used for city necessary services and not to be used for long-term funding of the school district, which, like all other school districts in Ohio, are funded through real estate taxes. In this situation, the city has repeatedly offered, once in April of 2019, again in early October of 2019, and several times since October 2019, to pay to the school district on an annual basis the real estate taxes that will be abated over the 15 years on the site that received the tax abatement. Numerous times for over a year, it has been explained directly to the school district officials, both in writing and verbally, the meaning of making the school district whole as to the real estate taxes on the Selman and Company project. It is my studied understanding from a reading of the state statute governing this matter, Ohio Revised Code Section 5709.82, that the purpose of the statute is to reimburse and make the school district whole for the real estate taxes that will be abated for this building improvement receiving the abatement. It is not the purpose of this statute for the school district to be paid more than those real estate taxes. However, the school district is demanding and threatening to sue the city over in this instance for much more than being made whole. Also, the school district is demanding even more than 50% of the payroll taxes for new employees at the site of the improvement, the 13,000 square foot Selman building addition that is receiving the tax abatement. The school district is demanding 50% of the entire Selman payroll for 15 years. In addition, I am reminding the council that in the fall of 2018, council authorized by resolution a job creation grant to Selman and Company for an amount to be paid by the city equaling 10% of the net amount of payroll taxes received by the city from Selman for a 5-year period. This was a necessary grant in order to have Selman agree to relocate to Richmond Heights and help to make up for the higher income tax rate in Richmond Heights compared to the lower income tax rate at its former location in Mayfield Heights. Therefore, if the council proceeds with agreeing to pay the school district 50% of Selman's payroll taxes, the city will receive only 90% of the remaining 50% of the payroll taxes. I suggest to those on city council who want to financially support the schools, they should initiate a committee supporting passage of a levy to benefit the school district. I highly recommend that we do not enter into a long-term income tax sharing agreement which has not yet been drafted and does not fully maintain the legal rights of the city under state law, and therefore veto resolution number 26, 2020. And that is from Mayor David Roach.
Thank you for that. I do want to emphasize the technical issue. Historically, within the council, to direct a mayor to sign an agreement that is still in draft mode is technically uncomfortable to me. So that that's one of the technical things that we've continually discussed in council, that when you pass a resolution directing, and this is directing, not authorizing the mayor to develop an agreement. This is directing to sign an agreement does not exist, and that has been told to me that a number of items do not protect the city's rights. Is against my general character. Again, there is an old saying, there's no good deed that goes unpunished. Right from the beginning, we've been attempted to be fair to the school district. The city is willing to compensate the school right from the beginning from the full amount, 100% of the abated taxes from the Selman CRA, attempting to eliminate a long-term dragged out ordeal, potentially attempting for 50 or 75% settlement of the abatement. Right from the beginning, we've been hearing from, have your attorney talk to my attorney. That was from the school district's dialogue. So that happened almost from the beginning meeting. And so the two attorneys, as far as I know, were talking with each other through that time period of whatever it was, April through October. Again, I'm very sorry that this is happening. I have been very supportive of fully compensating the school district for revenues lost due to the tax exemptions, and fully started in leading in that thing, and that's meeting the intent of the Ohio Revised Code 570982. Again, some of this, some people don't really realize some of the details, I don't believe. The school district gets $33,000 from the existing building, along with what the city has proposed to pay, and this is approximate numbers because we don't have the evaluation from the county, of $45,000. So again, I think Don O'Toole had a lot of the numbers in his statement, but again, that's almost $78,000. Now, the intent of the CRA was to incentivize a business to expand and grow in the city, providing a stable revenue flow from both, for both the city and the school district. Without attracting new business, the existing building and therefore tax revenue was in jeopardy for both the school district, which gets 65%, and the city that gets only 15%. Again, we have seen that in some of the areas of our city, and again, this is not totally prepared here, but Borelli's went vacant for a number of years now, and it's basically self-destructed because nobody came in and invested or grew the thing. I see that as the Associated Estates empty, and we encouraged new business, which has been a tremendous asset to the community, volunteering and doing a lot of community efforts to the city. That in turn, again, established a good return for the schools of like $33,000, which they were going to be getting for the next 15 years, plus the incentive to them that was part of the CRA, and the city was in turn also, again, making those payments to the school that for the revenues lost on the addition. So that fully compensates the school for this. It brings in a viable, a vibrant new business that in fact started to increase. I mean, they built a new addition, which is about a third of the size of the original building right from the beginning. And we need that kind of growth in the city. I've been trying very diligently to do that for the city. So I feel very bad that my name is dragged through the mud for this kind of thing, where we are trying to support the school district right from the beginning with fully compensating them from any loss from the CRA. And then we got a new business in that is paying taxes on the old building, which maintains the school district's cash flow in a good stead. If they didn't come in and the building started leaking and nobody was there, nobody would be paying that $33,000 taxes because eventually the building would have been bulldozed, just like where Borelli's is headed for. So we're trying to do the best. I've been very supportive of the school and the school district. Again, I've been advisor for the Key Club. We have generated money with the Kiwanis for scholarships. I can put my voluntary time up against anybody that would help the students in this city. And I've gone to a lot of the games, basketball games, whatever. Sorry, I'm feeling a little bad right now because my name is very important to me. And the facts that, the things that were not factual said against me tonight is very, very disturbing to me. Thank you.
Eloise, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, Mark, go ahead.
I want to start off with the fact that for the last year now, everyone on council, I can't speak for the two new ladies on council, but I can speak for everybody else, that for the whole year to this, we thought that we were doing the right thing and that we were going above and beyond when we were making the schools whole in this deal. And all of a sudden we come because somebody says they're going to sue us and everybody's in a tither about it. I just can't believe this. And I'll tell you what, I can't believe some of the mudslinging that's been done. I'll stick up for the mayor. The mayor's just doing what he thinks is right. He's representing the city. No one from this organization over here is throwing mud back at the school. But every time I talk to a reporter, that's all I get is mud. So I have a real problem with that. And then just to continue on, so that everyone knows that the title to the Ohio Revised Code states 5709.82. The title reads, compensating school districts for revenues lost due to tax exemptions. They lost nothing. They gained. There's nothing in here. And then when they come back and we did this up front, I guess the thing we should have done is we should have offered them 25% at the beginning, not 100%. That's what other places do, but no, we took the high road. We said that we would give them 100%. And for our superintendent to say to the reporters that she did not know what made whole meant until she read it in the newspaper the other day is very disingenuous. I myself, in a meeting with the school board and you, Eloise, and everybody else, I wanted to put it up on the chalkboard to explain to everyone what whole meant. But no, she wouldn't allow it. And just to finish it off, like I said, I'll say the same thing that the mayor said. When people make accusations about me hating kids, she's way off base. I'll tell you what, I'll put my record up against anybody in this town of what time was volunteered to that school and did. And Eloise, you know, you've been around for many of those years. You got people talking stuff out of their mouth that they have no clue of what they're doing. And yeah, I do get upset when people start dragging my mud through the name. You know, this council, over the last few years, 5 years ago, we were dead broke. But we went out, made some hard decisions, got a little bit of tax in 25%, and we've made some hard decisions. People got laid off, people did things, and now we're in pretty good stead. But if you keep giving away money like this, you're not going to be in good stead very long. I'm done.
Any more council people would like to make comments? All right, well, I have a comment.
Always, one last thing.
All right.
Please.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As you know, I feel that, yeah, this thing probably should go to court if they want to sue us, let us. But I made the things last week or 2 weeks ago and started the thing for the Attorney General of the state of Ohio to look at this. It's already been done. They started the process. And I don't see what the big hurry is about this thing, that we can't wait for the Attorney General to make a ruling on this. And the school doesn't incur any cost in law fees or anything like that. But let the Attorney General make a recommendation, and I'll live by that. But to just turn this over and give them whatever they want, and this is just nuts.
All right.
Madam President,
Yes.
I wasn't going to say anything, but that last comment by Mark hit home. That was my whole contention right from the beginning when I voted the first time against this. What's the hurry? The taxes aren't going to be collected till the end of the year, so no one's out anything. Let the Attorney General make his decision. Tell him to guide us, and whatever it is, I'll live by it and I'll vote for it. Win or lose, on which side of this issue you want to be on. I feel badly that it's gone to this, but it's time that the silent residents in this community have a voice, and that's what they elected all of us to do, is to hold up their interest, their best interest, both for the school and for the city. So with that, I would really like to see it being held for the Attorney General to come up with a decision of which way to go, and then let's live by that. That's my comment.
Any more council people's comments? All right, so I'll just add my response, and it's short. I think everybody has summed up their opinions on both sides of the aisle here. And in response to this, I will say that my vote came from the fact that this process was initiated in 2018, and there was no written agreement made from that time onward. An agreement is a mutual acceptance between two parties. That's an agreement. So the vote is based upon the criteria as stated before, included in the State of Ohio Ordinance 5709.82, compensating school district revenues lost due to exemptions, and encouragement from fellow, okay, forget about that part. But in regards to a loss. But the point is, there is a clause also that mentioned an agreement is expected to be made within 6 months. And this is what I based my decision on. And within our first reading, initially, we had 6 of the council people who agreed that maybe we should vote this way. So there's 6 yays initially, and there was 1 no. So only Mark was a dissenting vote. On the second reading, we had 5 yays, and it was Mark and Lentine who were the dissenting votes. On the third reading, we had 4 yays, and it was Mark dissenting, Lentine dissenting, and Ursu abstained. So also, I will also add, is that initially I was encouraged because we had not come to an agreement. I was encouraged by Councilman Ursu, who says, it'd be good if we can come to some kind of agreement. And he encouraged me to go over there, and I did that. So therefore, you keep talking about giving something away and rushing and all this. This and my decisions were based upon 2018, this process being initiated. So therefore, my conclusion is I continue to uphold my vote for resolution 26-2020. So if there's no more comments, we will go on and we will proceed with the voting. And if there are more comments, I will take the comments from the council people.
I have one last comment.
Yes, you may.
The mayor made a comment earlier in his statement about not having a document in front of him and knowing what he's exactly signing, all the details. I'm sure everybody could agree with that. It should be in writing so that we know what we're agreeing to.
We had 26. You know what 26-2020 was. If you,
I do, but I don't see a document that says.
Well, you know what? You know what? You do what you want to do in your vote. I'm holding the vote because each one of us have the responsibility to have our legislation before us.
I want to see the day that you sign something in front of you, a blank piece of paper. That's the day I want to see, Eloise, is when you sign a piece of paper that's blank, and then I'll fill in the
Frank, this was regarding legislation.
You would never agree to that. You would never agree.
This was legislation 26-2020. And it's not like this is, well, you know what?
Let the Attorney General make the decision.
Well, you know what? We're going for a vote. You do what you want to do in your vote, each and every one of you. I'm clearing my table. We vote. So,
Madam President,
yes,
I'd like to read a statement.
read a statement. Go on, please.
It's not too long. But I'm very appreciative of all the people that submitted something tonight to the council and had it read. I'd like to add this. This vote is the last chance to avoid imminent litigation between the city and the school board. There are many valid ways to look at this, but I believe that the most valid and wisest is to choose the path that avoids the legal quagmire of a lawsuit for these reasons. Madam President, number one, the statute for the abatement in question states that the city will share some of the future revenues from the abatement with the schools. Unfortunately, it is unclear on the precision of the split due to the uniqueness of our situation. If the issue were to go to trial, the result could go either way. In other words, there are good arguments on both sides. Circumstances like this beg for an agreement and spirit of cooperation instead of a lawsuit. Madam President, number two, the revenues at issue are not in the city's current budget, but rather revenues that would be derived from the abatement in the future. As such, the money in question would not adversely impact our current budget. However, these future revenues that need to be shared next year and beyond can be planned for in upcoming annual budgets. Madam President, number three, the negative publicity from a lawsuit would be damaging to the reputation of Richmond Heights and its residents, which is contrary to our mission as government officials and in the best interest of everybody to avoid. Madam President, number four, a lawsuit would burden our small staff and pull them off their normal and important daily duties to serve our residents. They would have to spend valuable time to assemble documents for trial, give depositions, attend hearings, and otherwise endure the stressful work setting associated with a lawsuit. The result would be that our staff would fall behind on delivering services to our residents. Madam President, number five, we would incur legal fees, which would be detrimental in and of itself, even more so now that our current budget is stressed by the unfortunate recent economic downturn. Madam President, number six, a lawsuit would result in unwanted embarrassment for one of our newest and best business employers who received the abatement and whose company has invested mightily in our city and whose good name would be innocently caught in the middle of such a dispute. Madam President, number seven, avoiding this lawsuit would help preserve good relations between the city and schools instead of a protracted legal quagmire that would result in numerous unforeseeable consequences and pitfalls that always result from such legal proceedings. Accordingly, with my experience and knowledge as a former 24-year mayor of Richmond Heights, in my current role as councilman, I believe it is best to put this quagmire behind us and focus all of our energy and efforts on a positive future, which includes the Great Bell Oaks project and the wonderful new high school building. Thank you, Madam President, for letting me add that.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? So the clerk, will you please take the roll call on 26-2020?
Madam President,
Yes?
the legislation is passed. 4 to 2 to 1 vote. It is not in effect because the mayor vetoed it timely. And the charter says that council shall consider the veto and the objections of the mayor at its next council meeting, which is tonight. And that if council wishes to overturn the veto a motion would need to be made and passed by 5 council members.
Mhm.
So the action that would be taken would be to call for a motion to overturn the veto. That is the matter that's before council.
Okay, I entertain a motion to overturn the call for the veto.
So moved.
Alexander?
Is there a second?
I
I did
had,
not hear one.
was that Henry, did you make the motion and then Nelson?
No. Ms. Lewis made the motion. I did not hear a second.
Nelson was the second, was it? Was it Nelson the second?
Yes,
I heard Nelson.
Lewis and Nelson.
Alexander?
No.
Henry?
Yes.
Lentine?
No.
Lewis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Ursu?
Yes.
So, Mr. Hunt, what do we do next?
I will coordinate or contact the school board's attorney, and I will offer to draft an agreement. I will have to run it by council and before I actually give it back to the school district's attorney for their review, based on what I understand to be the council's position.
All right. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I'm saying this meeting is adjourned. Good night.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you all. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.